I was sent a segment from Joe Rogan's podcast where he discussed the topic of Christianity and Islam with his guest Matthew McConaughey. Matthew made some interesting suggestions about increasing the influence of Christianity in the West, which Joe countered by making valid points about how Christianity should not be imposed upon Muslims.
The 10 Commandments in the schools. What do you think about that?
I don't like it.
Why?
I think mandating it in classrooms in public schools, the problem with that is, what about the Muslims? What about all the other religions that exist?
Since Christian society, 10 Commandments, but we have 10 minutes to bow to Allah, to whatever your religion is. If you care to partake or not, there's no exclusion about what can be a spiritual time of worship in these 10 minutes. But in our classroom in America, we're going to have the 10 Commandments. Now, my question then goes to this. Is there anyone in the 10 Commandments that you or anyone disagrees with?
If you want to have some classes in schools where you teach people about the benefits of the Bible and the overall messages and what Jesus was trying to say, and if you just follow what Jesus said, no one would disagree. If you treat everyone as if it's your brother, if you live your life the way Jesus asked, that's a way better way to live life. But what about people that also want to live a good life, but they want to do it through Islam? Like, you're going to be religiously bigoted if you teach only one. If you're a Muslim and you're supposed to send your kids to school and they're shoving Christianity in his face, you'd probably feel the same way as if you were a Christian and your school district had been taken over by Islam.
What if there were tenets on the wall of each religion? When I'm saying, when you look at the commandments, is there anything that anyone out there is going like, I disagree with that one?
Both Matthew McConaughey and Joe Rogan made some good points here. As Muslims, we also believe in the values and teachings found in the 10 Commandments, as these principles are reflected in our own scriptures. Except instead of observing the Sabbath, Muslims observe Jummah, the congregational prayer held on Fridays. Moses, peace be upon him, is also a recognised prophet in Islam. In fact, he's the most mentioned prophet in the Holy Qur'an. Additionally, I would say the first commandment, to worship God alone, from the Old Testament, actually clashes with the modern Christian Trinity concept of a three-part God, but I digress. Joe made the point that if the 10 Commandments were made mandatory in public schools in the West, it may alienate Muslims and people of other faiths. As I said, as Muslims, we would have no issues with this. Matthew came back with some great suggestions in response, as in every faith group would have the option to pray or not to pray according to their beliefs, and that the core tenets of all religions could be presented alongside the 10 Commandments. I would feel a lot more comfortable sending my kids to a school like this, rather than the secular schools we have in the West. Joe was also right when he said if people were to live by the original message of Jesus, peace be upon him, who's also a prophet in Islam as well as the Messiah, it would benefit society immensely. And I agree, as long as Christian methods of worship are not imposed and Muslims are free to worship as per our faith, it's a win-win. I appreciate Joe for considering Muslims during this conversation, and also Matthew for making adjustments to accommodate us in his suggestions. However, I think they would be pleasantly surprised to learn that Islam incorporates the 10 Commandments just as Christianity and Judaism do.